Alright. So I guess this is one of the first videos, the first video I'm making out of, I have no idea how many, for what reason. This is just kind of a feeler, whatever, I guess. But, this morning, I guess I had an interesting conversation with myself. Just kind of, being able to talk to myself and trying to, I guess, come up with ideas. Trying to kind of explore my brain a little bit, pick my brain, see what's going on. And, it really made me realize that it helps. It helps a lot, to evaluate yourself, see where you're at, see where your mental stability is at, see where your level of understanding of yourself is at, because that's the biggest thing. It's very important for you to understand yourself, and be self-aware. It's important to be self-aware, but it's also more important to be able to act on it. And I think that's where a lot of advice comes from, right? Because I think it's easy to know what's right from wrong, or for at least a mass majority of people, it's easy to know what you should and shouldn't do. I think the biggest problem people have is applying that. I know what's right. I know I have to do this, but I'm gonna do this instead. I'm a victim of it. I can't even say victim of it, but I'm guilty of it. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are as well. It's one of the biggest things we as people have trouble with. And so with that thought in mind, it really kind of pushed me to do something like this, right? I think about things a lot. I think a lot, and now I think putting it out there, putting it on some kind of format or anything is going to really help solidify and maybe put you on the right path. Because instead of just thinking and knowing what I should do is right, let's take a first step into actually doing it. I think it's really important that we try something. So, an idea that's been kind of weighing on my mind a lot recently, or it's been pretty relevant in my mind, has been really the effects of social media culturally, and in the modern time which we live in today. Let's take a look at how far we've come. We've had social media for a very long time. I use it every single day. Good majority of the world population uses it every day. And it's interesting because there are some places in the world without running water, but they have their access to smartphones and internet and Wi-Fi, and they're able to stay connected. So let's take a step back and look at it. Why? Like, how did we come this far? What did we do to reach this place? And then kind of what's going on in the time right now? What are the effects of it? And then also, what can we do to help? Because it's almost we can't say there's not a problem. I guess some people can argue that there isn't a problem, because I can myself argue that as much as it does damage, it helps, which is important to keep in mind. But there's so many things that are involved with social media, so many things that come with the being connected at all times package trade-off. It's almost like we're being connected completely, and you're able to start a revolution from your living room, but it comes with a cost. Almost everything comes with a cost. It's almost too good to be true, right? So what's the cost that this comes at? And there's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of things happening today's society that we see the headline on the news and we're like, oh my God, like, I had never thought that would happen. I never thought I'd hear that sentence be spoken in my life, And so you have to take a step back and look at, how do we get here? What's happening? We've always known that there's been terrible people in the world, right? we've always been somewhat exposed to it to a certain extent. I think now we're being exposed to it a lot more than ever. And I think a big problem is that it's almost incentive. It's almost like it's almost glorified shitty people in this world, or likable shitty people in this world. I can understand why, you know what I mean. But I think as a whole, we have a larger responsibility to, portray good role models and people with good standings. As the bar that you should set yourself to. I understand that having a likable, badass character is cool, and everything, because balance is good. But serial killers, let's take into example the school shootings, these mass shootings that have been happening recently that terrifyingly so we've almost become really desensitized to. These people go out and they commit these heinous acts and murder a lot of people, and then what happens after it is really just the interesting part of the whole where we're at in society right now, is that we put these people's faces plastered everywhere. When a shooting happens, when it happens, and not only do you know that it happened, you know what the person looked like that did it, and their mind, their face is basically ingrained into your mind for the next few days until it's relevant to you, and what this person looks like. This person's story. And I'm not gonna lie, you are fascinated. It's almost like a curiosity that you're fascinated into seeing, like, what happened to this person that led him to do this. It's because it's such a big, impactful thing that they did, and the problem is that impact is negative, and it shouldn't be glorified. It shouldn't be put everywhere. Their faces, they almost turn into celebrities. We completely forget about the victims, and we just focus on the people that did these things. And there's certain things that come with that, right? Somebody feels also disenfranchised, and they feel frustrated in the same way, that this person did, that led them to do this. And they see all this notoriety that this person's getting, and they say, shit, I want everyone to know me, I want everyone to know my face. I want everybody to recognize me and know my name, no one does that, in my opinion. I could be very wrong, I'm sure that not all cases are the same, but in my opinion, you do something like that, you don't want to live after. There's a lot going on in your mind, and it's almost like straw that drew the camel's back, and you're at your wit's end. So how does this transfer with social media? I guess I got a little bit off topic. How does this transfer back to social media? Well, now with this dynamic of praising people that do shitty things, we love to love the bad guy, and because of social media, that gets amplified, just as everything else gets amplified 50 times more because of it. So whether you're amplifying a good message or a bad message, the effects of it are going to be very exaggerated. Mix that with the fact that a lot of people don't have the mental capacity to think for themselves, to be completely frank. Not a lot of people can form their own opinions. Not a lot of people read into articles. They look at headlines, and that's dangerous. A very misinformed majority of a population is never good. And that's what seems like, you know, people in power kind of want to keep you at. They want to keep you, you know, as manipulated as possible. You know, it's only in their best interests. It's not, you know, because let's take the social media into example, the complete example, as to why government or why people in power don't trust us with making our own decisions, because they've seen this effect of masses of people being swayed, you know, complete at a whim, you know, because of some person that they know is horrible, right? So some shitty politician, you know, and we don't know that they're shitty, but in their circle of people, they know that they're shitty, and they end up swaying millions of people to do what they want. They see that and they're like, wow, okay, the general population, as the mass of people, might not know what's good for themselves, right? And with that, I think comes with the law, right? You know, and the reason why I'm relating to social media is because you almost see it more with social media. You know, I don't want to be too crass, but there's a lot of dumb people in the world. There's a lot of very misinformed and don't want to be informed. That's the problem too with people in this world. So once you get a lot of people who are just completely misinformed and just don't care about being informed, you know, bad things happen. And then when you put them all in one room, when you put them all in the palm of your hand, you know, there's going to be some consequences. There's going to be some not great things to come of it. You know, people get scammed all the time. And why? Why do people get scammed all the time? Because it works. You know, there's no other way to explain it. You know, people that scam other people, they find what you need and they use it against you. And that's the way the world always worked, and it sucks. But the thing is that you can find what people need and use it for them. You know, there's a lot of greed that goes into it, and that's you know, all of these hyper exaggerations of human tendencies that have come about in this time, right? Like, we know that these things that we do are primal. We know that it's the human and natural, but I feel like right now with this kind of technology, we're almost like toddlers that were given like a gun. We're just a little baby fumbling around with a loaded handgun, and it's never safe, right? You know, you're not, you know, and I hate to compare us to babies, but in comparison to how early this technology is and the impacts that it's had on our society, yeah, we're babies handling it. So, you know, I guess I explained how we thought about how we got there. You know, we're looking at the effects now, you know. And then the thing is, we got to look at what do we do to stop it? What do we do to control it? What do we do to mitigate it or anything? You know, it feels like we're spiraling into a cycle of wake up, go on social media, feel like crap about yourself, go to work, talk to your coworkers, talk about what they saw, see what they saw, feel like crap about yourself more, go home, you know, try to change yourself maybe, don't, take a picture of how you did change, quote unquote, and, you know, and then feel good, get those serotonin levels coming in. You know, I guess there is some good to it where seeing how good other people are doing does make you want to drive to do more, but it also makes you want to drive. It drives you to fake it, and you know, that's a real issue nowadays. There's a lot of fake, disingenuine people now, and you know, it's very important to be real. And just like with everything in the world, everything needs a balance. You know, you need to show people that that you're not alone, that there's people out there suffering probably just as much as you are, if not more, and you need to be there for one another. You know, I mean, what else are we doing here on this earth? You know, why do we have families? What's the point if we're not meant to coexist? You know, so be real with one another. Be real with yourselves, most importantly, you know, because that's where everything starts. But so with social media, be real with yourself, be real with other people. You know, there's a dynamic of filtering your life through different social medias, right? Like, I guess as a whole, I feel like is an example like Twitter is it's almost like people are, you know, depressed, and they're glorifying this depressive nature on Twitter. People are making fun of it and joking about it, and there's some funny stuff that goes on, yeah, absolutely. But then Instagram, where it's more of like the I'm living my life great, you know, kind of filter. So social media is trying to find in itself its own balance, but it's our job as people to be able to wade through that and remember and remind ourselves that everything isn't as it seems. You know, just keep in mind, everybody gets scammed. Everybody gets scammed. So, you know, just be careful. Do your own research. Try not to get scammed. And I guess that's my message for today. I don't know. All right, peace.